So, we met, I guess it was actually 2 years ago this summer.
Was it 2 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was at the Lobster Fest.
Clam Jam.
Clam Jam, Lobster Fest, whatever.
Yeah.
Cabana. And yeah, we'd met there. And I think it was your hair and your lioness type look. You actually look like a lion.
Did I? Or I do?
You do. Has anybody ever told you that?
Yeah, it's my alter ego. It's
Really?
I think it's my spirit animal.
Okay, and I'm a Leo.
Are you?
You didn't know I'm a Leo?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I've never been told I look like a lion. I guess I've been told I have that energy.
Like a tiger?
Yeah.
So, you know, it was obviously your big hair, your beautiful smile, your pretty eyes. And then, I was like, who is this? And then we got to know each other. And, over the years, you've just continued to, like, amaze me and inspire me with all the things that you do. You're a mom.
Mm-hmm.
Little Ilya. That latest photo looks great, too. His hair.
You like his haircut?
He's looking like a little man
He's
already.
a little boy.
Yeah.
I know.
And it took me a while to figure out exactly what you do professionally.
Mm-hmm. It did?
I just knew it was CBT, and half the time I was calling it CBD, and then cognitive. One time I was calling it cognitive brain therapy, but it's cognitive behavioral therapy.
Yeah.
And obviously I got to experience your workshop at Mastermind Adventures in Utah, which was amazing. And I got to see, okay, I got it. This is how you do what you do. So I share with me a bit more, like, pretend like I have no clue what you're talking about. And, first off, what led you to get into cognitive behavioral therapy, and what impact does it have, and how do you, facilitate or execute that?
All right, that's like a very loaded question.
Okay,
so let's start.
Take it apart.
Let's start with my background. So in university, I took neuropsychology. So I was always really fascinated with, like, the brain and behavior, and I was always prone to looking at, like, why people do what they do. But I was also really into health, and I grew up as a ballet dancer for 18 years, and I was trained professionally and kind of did ballet until I was 20. So I was around. Two things happened. I was around women that had severe eating disorders and, like, body issue images, and addiction that's comorbid with that. And I was also really into health. Like, I was always, active and stuff like that. So I always sort of knew I wanted to go into the realm of psychology, but I wanted to couple it with health somehow. So when I finished my degree at McGill, I went into the Institute of Holistic Nutrition, and I got trained as a nutritionist. And sort of over the years, like over 10 years, I got trained in neuro-linguistic programming and cognitive behavioral therapy, and, like, did Landmark and did a bunch of personal growth and development. And I think what happened is it turned into my own modality or my own practice, where it's like, yeah, I'm a nutritionist trained, but I'm also a trained cognitive behavioral therapist, and I have all these other tools to help people change their patterns, beliefs, and behaviors. And so it is actually really hard for me to describe what I do to people, because sometimes people will be like, oh, Adele Wellness, you guys are nutritionists. I'm like, yeah, and we are therapists, and we look at patterning, and we look at where you stuck in your life. And, I've talked about this a lot, like, people know what to do, they just don't do it. So I always say I help them close the knowing doing gap. That's kind of in a nutshell. Like, sure. And so it's been an evolution, and even still, Adele Wellness, that's my company. It's been 10 years now. It really started off, when I look at the sort of origin of where I started, I was doing Reiki healing and, like, holistic nutrition and yoga, and it was, even my branding was, like, super spiritual. And then it evolved a little bit more into, like, the clinical part based on all my training, and where I worked more in sectors that were, like, healthcare sectors. And so now it's kind of like my brand is evolving, and where I'm at is that I'm moving away from just being the one that's doing the one-on-one work and really wanting to grow and influence more people and speak to groups. And that's, like, where I'm more passionate now.
Got it. Cool. And when I saw you lead your workshop at Mastermind Adventures, it made so much sense the way you dissected it. And I found myself listening along and thinking, I was participating in my head about, like, for me, getting back into the gym,
Right.
getting training on a consistent schedule is something that's really important to me, and it's been so important for so many years. And then after my competition in 2016, I just something switched. It just wasn't that important to me anymore. And for me, getting back in the gym, staying consistent, eating. I mean, I still eat pretty well, but I've definitely been eating more tacos than ever before.
I've seen you have dessert like many a time.
Life's short.
AKA your birthday last week.
Life's short, eat the dessert. I read that somewhere, I think on Instagram. It just
Sure.
made sense. And so part of it is like, okay, I've put myself in a box for so many years of my life that now it's like, I'm not competing anymore. I'll eat dessert. I'll have a burger or pizza and just enjoy. And now it's about dialing it back in and just getting on that schedule of just being back in the gym because I should and I want to.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, things just keep coming up. I keep just pushing it aside and not going. And when I heard you breaking down, I can't remember who it was, but it was somebody in our group. Mike, right? He wanted to, lose weight and have a breakthrough in his health.
Yeah.
And the way you broke it down for him about the guilt associated with not going, and then
we'll go through it if you want.
That would be great.
Just for people who don't know. Let's
we're
go.
about to get real here.
We're gonna have a breakthrough. Okay, so first I kind of want to describe what cognitive behavioral therapy is, because some people might not know, or they think it's CBD, which it's also a good adjunct to it. It's not, but so what it is that it's rooted in psychology, and what it tells us is that what we think directly influences how we feel, and as a result, how we behave. So what you think directs how you feel and how you behave. So there's a direct correlation between our thoughts and our behavior. And I know that doesn't sound riveting to a lot of people, but people don't actually see the parallel. They just think that they act. Or they don't, if I say, what were you thinking before you did that behavior? They're like, I don't know, I didn't think anything. I'm like, well, you've got about 100,000 thoughts in your brain at any given moment. So you were thinking
100,000.
Yeah.
Is that like an actual?
Yeah, you've got about, they say about like 90,000 thoughts circulating in your mind at any given moment, and it's what you pay attention to.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, so there's always thoughts, your narrative's going on, and your behavior is always linked to the narrative that you're focusing on, right? So part of what it is like in CBT, what's so powerful is that you can restructure or reframe how people think. So for example, with you, right? So what we'll talk about a little bit is like this exercise that I use is called the cognitive model. And what it tells us is it's like kind of how your brain operates. It's in another word called your schema. So what happens is that there's a situation that triggers you. There's always a situation. So for example, we'll get back to that in a second. And you have a thought about the situation. So for you, it's about the gym. So maybe the situation is like, you look in the mirror and you're like, oh my God, I need to go to the gym. Okay? Or something like that happens, right? And you have a thought about the situation, which is, you said F it before. I don't want to go to the gym, right? Or I don't have time, okay? Because time's a thing for you sometimes, or I don't want to. So you have a thought about the situation, and then you have that thought. So either I don't have time or I don't want to, forget it. And you have an emotion linked to that. So what would the emotion be?
So usually it's, I don't have time. And then the emotion is either I'm overwhelmed with things that I need to do, or I also use the reasoning that for so many years I was just so committed to the gym that
Yeah, so you're still your narrative. So let's actually break it down. So that's all back to your thoughts. So what happens to people's thoughts is like it's a stream of consciousness. I don't have time. I've been so committed. F it. I don't care. That's all your stream of consciousness. But the trigger thought is the one that actually is the one that is the thought that leads you to act. So if I say like name the actual trigger thought, is it I don't have time, or I don't F this, I don't care?
I think it's I don't care.
Yeah, I think so too, because you brought it up. It's usually the one that's first. Okay. So when you say I don't care, name the emotions associated with that. So you said overwhelm.
Yeah. Overwhelmed. Sometimes I feel like, got nothing to prove. Or
so emotion, like I'll give you examples. So like overwhelmed, anxious, frustrated, resigned.
All
of the above.
All of the above. Yeah. I feel that I almost feel guilty.
Yeah.
When I don't go.
Definitely.
You know.
Okay, so let's say you feel guilty.
Yeah.
Then where do you feel guilt in your body? So then you'll go to body sensation. So how does guilt show up for you? Where do you feel it if you have to locate it in your body?
Right.
Well, so let's go back let's kind of recap. So you've got a situation that triggers you. So what is the situation that has you thinking, I don't care? Like what specifically happens that you think that?
So in regards to going to the gym?
Yeah, the specific example, yeah.
So,
By the way, we always have to use, like, when we do this exercise, it's always a specific situation.
got it. Okay. So, I know at some point in the day I got to get to the gym, and then my days like, evolving, things get pushed back, things run late, and then it's like, oh, do I go now or do I keep working on this? And then usually it's later in the day by then I'm kind of tired, then I'm like,
F it, I don't care.
Yeah, I've been going to the gym all my life. I've always been like, gym. And, like, I'm not competing anymore. It's like, whatever, I'll go tomorrow. It's like, and then 2 weeks go by and I've worked out twice.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so situation is like stuff happens throughout the day. Your schedule gets ahead of you, and then you have a thought, F it, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I've done this my entire life. I'll start tomorrow,
Yeah.
right? And then you feel, is that about right?
Sounds about right.
Then you feel guilty, and do you feel anxious at all about that?
No, I just feel like I know I should. One other thing to mention, also that when I do go to the gym, for me, I'm not going to say it's defeating, but because I was training so intensely for so long, I was stronger, I was bigger, I had more energy, and now when I go, like, I'm lifting like half the weight I used to, and it's like, this sucks.
Well,
It's,
yeah, so it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So hold on, let's get there, because that's the output.
Okay.
But if we so you have that situation, you have that thought, and then you feel guilty. So then back to your body sensations. By the way, most people don't know how to name their body sensations. So this is really good for people to watch, because like, it's easy with anxiety. Anxiety, when I say, where do you feel it in your body? Like, people say, oh, my stomach, like I feel knotted in my stomach or my chest. Sometimes my hands feel clammy.
Yeah.
So if you feel guilty or resigned or any of those feelings, where does that show up for you?
I think in the chest. Yeah.
Yeah, like kind of heavy in the chest?
Yeah.
Okay. And then
I feel like a pressure. Almost.
Pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then what do you do? Like, what's your behavior as it's associated to that?
I just usually kind of carry on with my day. I just keep going and doing whatever it was that I was doing.
Yeah. So you're not going to the gym is basically it.
Yeah. Once I decide, okay, don't have the time, I'm going to keep doing this, and it's just like, okay,
you feel guilty, but you override that and you don't go anyway.
Yeah.
And then that not going to the gym, the avoidance of going, how does that reinforce the initial thought? Does it make it stronger or weaker?
It definitely makes me feel even more guilty for not going.
Yeah, well, first of all, it reinforces that you don't have time and you don't care, and then it makes you feel more guilty.
Yeah.
So you're in what's called the vicious cycle.
Okay.
So most people, when you look at an unwanted behavior, so kind of what I always ask people is, what in your life isn't working? What's the unwanted behavior? And you'd say, well, I want to go to the gym and I'm just not going. Or I know I should go to the gym and I'm not. Okay, great. You're in some kind of vicious cycle. So we've just kind of figured out your vicious cycle. That the more you tell yourself, I don't have time, I don't really care, I've been doing this my whole life, the guiltier you feel, and then the less likely you are to do it. Because you keep avoiding it.
Right.
Got it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you want to have a reframe on that?
Yeah, that would be nice.
Okay.
I'd like to go back to the gym.
Okay, so if we looked at your thought that you don't really care, because that's the trigger one. How valid does that thought feel to you right now?
It's not valid. I do care. Like, for me, being in shape and being healthy matters a lot to me. And it matters for different reasons. See, before it was about being jacked and ripped and like looking buff and all that. And now I just want to be healthy. I want to be able to go for a run. I want to be able to, just have that core strength when I go hiking, not to get tired the way I used to. Like, for me, it's about being all around healthy instead of just muscular and jacked like I used to be.
Totally. Yeah. Like I used to be back in the good old days. Okay, so good. So what's really powerful about using CBT for this is that it's all evidence-based. So what I'm going to have you do right now is we're going to look at the evidence that both supports your thinking the current thought that you don't care, because that's the one that's driving your behavior. And we're going to look at evidence to support it and not support it. And we're going to see which column is longer.
Right.
Okay? Make sense?
Sure.
Okay. So let's start with any evidence. So evidence has to be fact-based. It's not I feel like. It's like I did this or I didn't do that. Okay? So I want you to look at evidence that supports your thought that you don't care.
Me not going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me eating a lot of tacos,
Yeah.
or even drinking. I'm not a big drinker, but I've definitely been having more margaritas.
Yeah, I've noticed
the last
that.
couple of years.
You're so much more fun to be around.
I do it for all of you.
I love when you drink.
Wow.
Okay, so not going to the gym, eating not clean, let's call it.
Yeah.
Drinking alcohol.
Blowing off my workouts, like not making them a priority, just really scheduling them in. I remember just my mindset before, like when I was competing, it was like those hours were blocked off, and hell or high water, I was in the gym.
Yeah.
And I don't feel that urgency or importance for it anymore. And even though I'm not competing, I should still respect that commitment.
Yeah.
Because it's for me. So when I blow it off, or when I'm not being
authentic to yourself.
Authentic, and not having, there's no integrity around me sticking to my training.
Yeah.
And it matters now more than ever before, because before I was training for many external reasons, and now I want to train and be healthy so that when I'm 60, 70, 80, I'm training now for my future.
Yeah.
And also for the type of activities that I want to do. I don't want to be tired after a 3-hour hike or whatever.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Well, so we've got to part of it is that there's a blind spot. We've got to reframe the thinking. So back to your evidence. So you've got this evidence that supports your thought. Clearly, you're not going, you're not eating as clean as you used to, you're drinking more alcohol, and you're blowing it off and not prioritizing.
Right.
So that's clear. Okay, so let's look at some evidence, though, on the contrary, that doesn't totally support your thinking.
That I do still work out periodically.
Yeah.
Eating healthy is important to me. I'm not eating like fried food and crap. I continue to try to inspire other people to work out and be healthy. Through the content, or through telling people about different workouts or whatnot. That's because it's important to me that other people have the opportunity to be healthy. Yeah. And
you're alive. What about your alive? Like you're
absolutely,
posting.
Yeah, that's a good one, of course. Yes, and part of the way that I share fitness and living a healthy lifestyle with people is through the Alive experience, where fitness is an important component of it. Yeah. And like for example, our friend Mike Johnson, who came on the trip and started doing workouts on the trip, and just seeing him push himself and seeing himself come back from the trip and then continue to train. And I hooked him up with the guys at Studio Fitness, hooked him up with a meal plan, just to see that I can inspire someone to get on the path of fitness. Means a lot to me.
Yeah, so, it's a core value for you.
Absolutely. So healthy lifestyle, inspiring other people to be healthy. Yeah. I guess because I know how much health and fitness impacted me in my life. I mean, the reason I'm successful today in all that I do is because the gym taught me that commitment and discipline, right? So to be able to afford that and inspire other people in that way is definitely very important to me. Okay. So that's And I've thought about that. I've thought, I need to stay committed to training, and I need to lead by example and be in the gym and have my shit on point, because
you don't want to be a hypocrite.
I don't want to be a hypocrite. Thank you, sure. And I want other people to learn through my experiences. Yeah. And I want to be an example, You want
to inspire.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of evidence that doesn't fully support. In fact, your initial thought of I don't care, how does that now sound to you based on everything you just said?
I guess, yes, it's not that I don't care about being fit or being healthy. I don't care about being super jacked and ripped.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So that's a reframe.
Yeah.
But we're looking at the initial thought of I don't care. That's the thought that is driving, right? And you had evidence that supports it, based like you're not doing everything you should be doing. But on the other side, you have that you've inspired other people to be healthy. Your whole Alive experience is based on and rooted in health. It's a big, you really do care because you want to have all the energy levels to do all the activities you like, et cetera. So my question to you now is, based on what you're saying, what's another way to look at your initial thought that's more valid?
Right. So maybe it's I don't care about going to the gym and lifting weights, but I do care about being healthy and about being healthy and about inspiring other people to be healthy. So maybe the reframe I need to look at is how to be healthy and fit in a different way than going to the gym.
Yeah.
Or training in a different way. I don't know.
So is it more that you don't care about necessarily going to the gym, but you care about being active?
Yes. Yeah. That's.
Or maybe not even saying I don't care, but maybe I'm not as inspired to go to the gym, but I'm inspired to live an active lifestyle.
Yeah. I would say that's. Yeah. So for me, going to the gym has become very boring and routine, and I guess it triggers me.
You associate it with
to remember all those years of being in the gym, lifting weights, for other reasons. And now, like, the things I enjoy most is I love going cycling. I love going for a great hike. I like doing, outdoor adventurous activities, and that's why I want to be fit and strong so I can be active.
Got it.
Yeah.
So what about something like, I am really committed to fitness and it doesn't need to be in the gym, and I would really find joy from doing all these other activities?
Yeah.
Like, for me, health doesn't have to be about the gym. Maybe health to you is about a different active lifestyle.
Totally. Like, being fit and active, especially like group workouts, stuff like that. I find that fun. I find that enjoyable. So that's definitely something that would probably be more aligned with my health goals now.
Totally.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. So right now you've got this automatic thought that I don't care. That's driving your behavior, right? I also call it a permission thought because it gives you permission not to do it.
Yeah.
The minute you got, so I always say the minute permission thought comes into your head, your behavior is already in action. It's kind of like when people say, I'll start the diet tomorrow. This one extra bag of chips won't make a difference. You're literally going for the bag of chips because you've given yourself permission. Like, your synaptic, like how your brain is actually working is that pattern. You're like, chips.
Got me thinking about Doritos all of a sudden.
You're in the total circuitry, right? So you've got this thought that I don't care, right? Yeah. Because what it is that you're actually also, all those years of training to be fit and look a certain way was so restrictive that you've got this repulsion towards it now.
Yeah.
Okay? So what we need to do is create another thought, which we're doing, which is maybe like, it's not only about the gym that's going to make me fit and happy. Maybe for me, fitness is cycling, right? Once that new thought is in your head, so now you've got the situation that's triggering you, which is your day's piling up and you're thinking about being active. But now you've got this other idea about active, meaning like maybe I'll go for a bike ride, or maybe I'll do a group class or something like that.
Right.
What do you think your emotion's going to be based on that new thought?
I'm excited and looking forward to being active and doing something
that you want to do.
That I enjoy.
Yeah.
Right.
So now you're excited and inspired.
Yeah.
So now what do you think you're going to do?
Almost like I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what's going to happen to your thought?
About not going?
No, it's going to reinforce this new thought, which is I really love doing other kinds of activities.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's happening is you've got now two cycles going on, and so the new one is a lot more productive, obviously. And what's actually cool in neuroscience is that what we know is that it's easier to create new patterns than try to destroy old ones. So the more you do the new pattern, the more you're going to build the association of fitness is fun. Fitness isn't necessarily looking jacked.
Yeah.
Health isn't about, starving myself and having, all my macros. And it could be about just balanced eating and cycling and mountain biking or whatever it is for you. And that's going to create the new patterning for you.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the biggest takeaway really is that when you got to look at where in my life am I doing stuff that I know I shouldn't be doing, but I can't break the cycle. Well, you've got some automatic thought that's in the way, and it's not even valid. Because when I look at, like, when you say I don't care, you're like, that's totally not even true. But it's driving your behavior.
Right.
So now we have to reframe it.
Yeah.
You do care, you just don't like the gym.
Yeah, and I guess like you said, that permission thought just whatever, I've been doing it so long.
Totally.
It gives you, it almost justifies to yourself why you shouldn't, and then later you end up feeling like crap because you did it.
Yeah. So really, I think it's that you do care, you just don't like the gym anymore, and that you're inspired by other activities.
Yeah. Yeah, and part of that with the other activities, what I've considered and been doing recently is, if I like doing outdoor activities or group workout type classes, then you commit to a class, you're booked on that day. Some of them you're already paying for in advance, so you book. You get a couple of friends to come with you. Now you and your friends, you're going together. You hold each other accountable,
Totally.
and now you're going to that class.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
well, that was my next point.
Yeah.
So the structure piece.
Yeah,
the structure piece
right,
is so part of it is people have a breakthrough. They're like, you're right. You know what? I do care. Now I'm going to have this new reframed thought, and I'm going to. But okay, so the piece that's missing is, what's your structure?
Yeah.
What's the accountability? So for you, I think back to what you were saying before, what made you successful when you were training for competition is that you had those 2 hours blocked off, and like no matter what came up, do or die, you were going.
And I had my coach.
And you had your coach.
And I had a due date.
Yes.
I knew on this day I'm getting on stage.
Yes.
And I got to bring it.
Yeah. I've got to be 6% body fat or else.
3.
No.
Oh, it was pretty.
Oh my God.
Shredded.
Okay, so
I was pretty shredded.
So the structure piece is huge because right now you have no structure around working out, even if it's cycling and stuff like that. So to your point, accountability and structure is huge. So it's like scheduling time for classes, or even scheduling bike rides with friends, or just whatever it is that you have to do. You do need to have structure and accountability to make this, because what's going to happen is our mental model is so hardwired for the other behavior. Like, you've been doing that pattern now for so long.
Yeah.
That it's not enough to say, okay, I'm going to go bike riding. It's like, okay, when are you going bike riding?
Yeah.
And with whom?
Yeah.
And like what date?
Yeah.
And what are you working towards? Oh, your live experience, because I want to make sure that when I'm on that bike, I'm not like the last 44-year-old guy.
I'm leading the pack.
I'm not that guy in the back of the pack. Yeah. You need to have those in place, because to your point, look at the behaviors, the habits of successful people, or how successful you were when you were training for your competition. You had a coach, you had structure, and you had accountability.
Yeah.
So that would conclude, like, if you want to build this new pattern, you've also got to add in the structure. So people always ask me, like, how do you find time for the gym, being a mom and like running a business? It's like, from 8 o'clock, the minute my nanny comes at 8, I'm out the door, I'm ready in my gym gear. And from 8 to 9 or 8:30 to 9:30, that's my time. Like, nothing will ever get in the way. Like, if people want to call with me, I don't care what's happening. Like, that is my hour, because I know if I don't get it then, it's not happening. Then I got to work, and then I got to go home and be with my kid, blah, blah, blah. So for me, it's like sacred space. It's just as important, because like, this is the vehicle for your success. Yeah. So for me, it's like also about not being a hypocrite. How can I be in the health and wellness industry as an expert and like not take care of myself? Right. It would just be completely out of integrity.
Yeah.
So I schedule it.
Yeah, and that totally makes sense, and that resonates.
Why are you laughing?
No, because when you say it's out of integrity, it's true. Like, for me, a part of the reason why people come on the Alive trip is they know I have a fitness background, and they know that I've been training for almost 25 years, and there's some knowledge and information that I can share with them about how to travel, be successful, and stay fit and live a healthy, balanced lifestyle. And there are times where I almost feel like, okay, I'm being a bit of I don't want to say a fraud, but I'm not being as authentic with that, because my training has been off lately. Yeah. So for me, as I said, it's not just about me being healthy and being fit and active, but about being able to be the example and inspire others to make that switch for
be
themselves.
A role model.
So that makes it all that much more important.
Yeah.
So how you live by example and lead by example and live the true essence of a healthy lifestyle. It's definitely something that I'm inspired and motivated by. And
I have a question for you on that.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things you're like, oh, I never like it when you start with a question. So one of the things I talk a lot about with my clients and people I work with is core values, right? Have we ever talked about core values? So the idea of core values is that your core values drive your behavior, okay? So I look at it like, we call it the wheel of life, or your total person. And you've got about 6 pillars in that wheel. So the first one is, well, it doesn't have to be in this order, but I'll name it in the order that I think about it. Your health and well-being, your career and your finances, your family and your friends, your spiritual and ethical, your mental and educational, and which one am I missing? I said health, I said family, friends. I said finances and career.
Relationships or
mental and
romance?
educational.
Sex? Yeah, I know that.
That's a whole pillar. Anyway, we've got 5 there. Okay, I'll think
we'll
of the
edit
6.
the 6 in
Yeah,
at some
we'll
point.
edit it in. So, if I said to you right now, so that the theory is you're always operating. So you want that wheel to be whole, right? But for most people, certain pillars have more weight.
Yeah.
Okay, if I said like put a percentage on your health or whatever. So all of us are striving to be whole, but we have different. So the theory that I have is that we're always operating from our top 3 core values at any given moment in time, because it's almost impossible to operate at 6. So how do I know what top 3 core values someone's operating from? I look at their behavior. So for example, if someone comes to me and says, oh, my top core value is health, but they're eating McDonald's every day, I'd say it's misaligned.
Right.
So obviously your health is not your core value if you're not doing that behavior. So something needs to shift. Either you're thinking about it or your behavior. So if I were to ask you, what are your top 3 core values right now? What would you say?
So work and education, that was one together?
No,
or?
so career and finances.
Okay.
Mental and educational is like building your education or your knowledge.
Sure.
Spiritual and ethical.
Okay.
Family and friends. Health and well-being. And I don't know why this 6th one is escaping me.
So,
but those are the top. Like,
so for sure, mental.
And educational.
Mental, educational for sure. Friends and family.
Oh, sorry. The 6th one is social, cultural.
Oh, now that one, guys. Okay.
So you said mental, educational,
Yeah,
friends,
so
and family.
So that I would definitely say social and cultural as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, that's a tough one. It's kind of between career and finances and friends and family. Yeah.
So interesting.
Yeah.
Health is not in your top 3.
It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why
it's
you're
not.
having a block.
Yeah.
So that's one of the first things I say to people is like, before we even get going, it's like, what are your core values? What's your drive? Because you might have even if your belief is, I believe in health, but if your core value right now is health is like number 5,
Yeah.
what do you think you're going to do? You're going to prioritize all the other stuff. So that's what's happening for you.
Right.
So you need to have a bit of a shift in bringing your health up into those first 3 core values.
Right. Okay.
There needs to be a bit of a recalibration. So something's coming before it that's not letting you.
Yeah.
Because as your day unfolds, if social stuff comes up or mental educational stuff or friends and family, you're going to take those on.
Right.
And you're going to go, oh, the gym or cycling will wait for tomorrow.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Totally makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you just have to, I actually say to people, I can't work with you on your health unless health is in your top 3 core values.
Okay.
Because it's like me going to my accountant and being like, or me saying to my financial advisor, I want to make $1 million. I want to save $1 million. And then I'm going and buying Gucci bags every day. They'd be like, well, you're not going to save. You got to budget your spending.
Right.
But if I don't want to budget my spending, I also can't save $1 million.
Totally makes sense.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Some food for thought for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Metaphorically.
Yeah. Kind of getting hungry. Is it lunchtime yet?
Can I have a taco?
Wilbur, go for burritos.
Yeah,
fajitas?
exactly.
Yeah, let's go. Well, thank you. That was helpful for sure. And yeah, the structure piece is key because when I commit to something and when I enroll my friends to do it, I'm all in. And that's the catch-22 of also being an entrepreneur that works for yourself is you create and design your days however you want.
Totally.
And and you don't have someone to hold you accountable for things. So, yeah.
Well, to that point, there's 2 things I want to say to that. So one of it is this whole idea of like your circle of influence. And I think we've talked about that before and like Brendan Bouchard and lots of great people talk about the top 5 people you surround yourself with have the greatest impact on your life, right? So if you actually think about who in your life right now are you spending the most time with and do they mirror the lifestyle you want?
Yeah.
And so that's a question.
Yeah.
And then the other couple tips I have around structure, because I'm like I love structure, is that my calendar, like when you open up my Google Cal, the first 3 hours of my day is, so if I asked you, what do you think my top 3 core values are right now based on how well you know me?
Family and friends. career in finance and health.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And how do you know that?
Because that's just who you are.
Yeah, exactly. It's just no question, right?
Yeah.
So the first 3 hours of my day is time with my son,
Yeah.
the gym, and then work.
Okay.
So before noon, like I'm already hitting those three back, and then everything else comes later, like social stuff or whatever. So you almost have to like create your calendar to match your core values or
Right.
the values that you want. You know what I mean? So it's almost like if you want health to be up there, you've got to schedule that earlier in the day, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And just get it done, get it out of the way before
Before the rest of your day unfolds. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's helpful. And I have been thinking about that, and and again, it's one of those, well, when I'm there, then I'll do this. I keep thinking, well, when I'm living in Costa Rica, I'll do my TRX workout at home and do some skipping and push-ups and walk with my dog when I'm in Costa Rica. But then I may just end up in Costa Rica and be like, maybe I'll just, hang out on the beach or,
totally
dive into my emails or whatnot. But yeah.
It's like you got to create the pattern now, because anytime you hear yourself saying, when people say, well, when, or if that, those are all cognitive, we call it cognitive distortions, meaning it's a distorted way to think.
Right.
It's not true. It's not fully true, right? Like, well, when I'm this, I'll do that.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you've got today, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great. Thank you. It's
yeah, my
definitely
pleasure.
Very helpful.
I know this has been something on your mind, and I really think like you're a micro shift away from it.
Yeah.
I talk micro shifts is like 1 degree. And I always say to people, like, this is like a big takeaway that I had even recently was, when I created my online program, I had one whole chapter on this idea of micro shifting. What that is that people think that in order to change a behavior, it's like, first of all, it's overnight and it's like this huge thing. And I'm like, it's actually small changes daily that create big changes. And the way that I describe it is that if you shot like a line here and then you just did 1 degree shift, at the end of the road, there's a huge gap. And that's actually how you change behavior.
Okay.
But it's like, what 3 actions can I take today, or what 2 actions can I take that will create a sustainable change? So it's like, drink more water, eat a healthy lunch, go to the gym. Like, it doesn't have to be huge, crazy things, but it's those micro shifts, those daily habits that create change.
Yeah, and a sustainable
change.
program and lifestyle, because you see people who go on, like, the hire trainer, they're all
my God.
3 months, they get great results, drop 30 pounds.
Yeah.
And then as hard as they went that way, they swing back the other way.
Yeah. And you know what? Like, everyone's always looking for what's sexy. Like, what's the next sexy diet? Or, like, it's,
Right now it's keto and F45.
Whatever
that
it is.
seems to be
I can't even. I'm going to try not to eye roll. But it's basically like, it's not about what's sexy. It's about what's sustainable for you, right? Because there's so many great things you could do out there, and there's a plethora of information, but it's about what you're going to stick to. So as a nutritionist or a health coach or whatever you want to call me, or what we do in my practice, people will go like, what's your secret to success? Or, and I'll say something kind of trite, like drink more water, right?
Yeah.
And they'll look at me like, I didn't need to pay you to say that. I'm like, yeah, but are you drinking more water? We can't even address, if you don't do baseline, how can we address peak?
Right.
If you're like, I work with executives who are like high performance people, and their jobs depend on their health. But they're not even drinking water or sleeping or moving.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if you're not eating well, sleeping, moving your body daily, and exercise and drinking water, how are you going to be thriving? Like, why are you going to worry about keto? Forget about keto. You're not even doing baseline. So I think it's so important. Like, one of my biggest tenets as a health practitioner in the world of like what's sexy is like going back to basics with people and starting with where they are. So like, you're already a really fit, like high performing person. So starting with you is at a different level than starting with someone who's never trained before or whatever. But it's like, if you're not even drinking your daily water and sleeping your 8 hours a night and moving your body, you can't worry about the next level.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it totally makes sense.
Yeah. That's one of my biggest, like the biggest misconceptions about health is like, people want to start out, it's like going to the gym, your trainer putting on 250 pounds and being like, squat.
Yeah.
What's going to happen? You're going to blow your back out and you're never going to go to the gym again because you're going to hate it.
Yeah.
So it's like coming to me and being like, okay, great. We're going to go intermittent fast on keto.
Yeah.
You're going to do a 10-hour eating window. They'll be like, I'm never coming back again. How about we start with drink 8 glasses of water today and try to go for a 30-minute walk?
Yeah. I think I'm gonna. I'll try that later today. Water, yeah.
Seriously
Yeah,
though,
you
right?
reminded me, actually, I need to drink more water. I'm not drinking nearly as much water as I used to. I think competing just really traumatized me. I used to walk around with one of those mammoth jug things all day.
Totally, I know.
Just go to the bathroom every 10 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So actually, you mentioned intermittent fasting, and
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it because that is one of the buzzing, trendy, sexy things to do right now. Intermittent fasting, and then for the real hardcore, they throw keto on top of that. But is that something that you practice?
Yeah, I love fasting.
Okay.
So in the weight loss practice that I run, most people get on a fasting protocol, but it's like, again, like we don't start there. Why I love fasting is that there's so much research behind it, but the biggest thing that it does is it restores people's insulin levels. So like most people in Western world, our insulin, our blood sugar is all over the place because when your cortisol, when your stress hormone is high, your blood sugar is high, and you've got too much blood sugar in your body, and you store fat, especially in the belly. Okay. So you see a lot of people with high-powered jobs, if they don't take care of themselves, they've got like a gut because all their cortisol is going there too.
Oh, interesting.
And so what happens when you fast is it restores your blood sugar. So it starts to like really take away some of that abdominal fat, which is so important for heart health.
Okay.
So I love fasting for like just the reason, the scientific backing of it all. But I also find that what happens is like, because over the years with nutrition, people have been heard things like eat every 2 hours or like never go hungry and blah, blah, blah. It's actually totally archaic because if you actually look at our Paleolithic ancestors, people would fast for days and then feast when they had food. They would feast in famine, and they would also move a lot.
Right.
And they were reported as some of the healthiest people. I mean, yeah, they didn't live very long because back then they didn't live long, but when they were very healthy. And so I think people now, they misunderstand hunger signals, so they don't even know when they're hungry or when they're bored. And what I find really helpful with fasting when I look at my clients is that they start to understand when they're actually hungry versus when they're bored.
Got it.
So they start to be able to self-regulate. I also think it's really helpful for people that are really busy because you don't have to worry about breakfast in the morning and you can kind of run out the door. You have an eating window, which makes it more clear. And then the other reason I find it helpful is that people who have what I call nighttime eating pattern, so people that graze or eat a lot after dinner, there's a lot of people that do that. If you know that your eating window is like from 12 to 8, that's it. 8's your cutoff. It creates structure and boundaries,
right,
which people need, versus, oh, let me go grab an apple or some celery and some cookies and da-da-da. So a lot of people who struggle with their weight, they eat late at night. So I find the fasting window helpful. Okay. Yeah. But the other thing to note is that men and women, like there's different ways to do it. Like men can fast longer than women can. There's all sorts of different, there's Paul Berardi is really great. He talks a lot about fasting and the research behind it. There's probably 5 or 6 different ways you can fast. But I love it, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it was something I was trying for a while. Just traveling always sort of screws me. It's hard to stay on that schedule.
It's
while
hard
traveling.
with time zone travel, yeah.
Yeah, and then so what I was having in the morning was a bulletproof coffee.
Yep.
Yeah, because that, as long as you're not introducing protein or sugar, you're not breaking the fat.
Yeah, so there's like, this is where it gets a little bit interesting. There's people, like in every community, like there's the keto community and the fasting. Like there's, even inside those communities, there's different points of view, right? So there's some fasting people that would say, like Dr. Paul Berardi would say from Precision Nutrition, he's like no calories, like no, like water, that's it in your fast, or black coffee. And then there's the keto community that says bulletproof coffee, right? So I think it's okay either way. But yeah, I think if you're doing a bulletproof coffee, as long as it's under, they say under 100 calories, then you're still in the fast, and no protein and sugar, obviously.
Okay. Yeah, that's good to know. Yeah, and again, you hear so many of the different like health hacks, different supplement, different diets, different regimens that could help you live your optimal life. You know, and it's sometimes it's tough to keep up with all that. But what you mentioned was a great point. Just make
basics.
sure your baseline, you're just doing the basic, and then take on what feels right from there, I guess.
Yeah. And I think to your point, this is an interesting conversation I've been having with myself too, is like there's always these like biohacks now, they're calling it, right? Like everyone's doing keto and all that, and there's a lot of shame associated with it, where it's like you're like almost like, if I'm not on that trend, I'm not healthy, right? But it's like, but are you even, like to my point, Aaron, are you even drinking water? Are you even moving your body? Like, why are we worried about like, like the fasting protocol being perfect or being keto when we're not even doing the other stuff? And I think what happens to a lot of people is they totally get resigned around their health because they're like, well, I can't do keto, so forget it. It's like, no, you don't have to go to that extreme, you know?
Yep.
So I think it's a really important conversation to have with people. It's like, start where you are and just start building the blocks for it to be a sustainable behavior. Thing with me with fasting, I mean, I've been fasting on and off for 5 years, but like I didn't start fasting and like was perfect on it. I just was like, I gave myself, I'm like, okay, today I'm going to start by pushing my breakfast up 1 hour. And then next week I'll do 2 and like blah, blah. I gradually built the behavior where now I can do a 16-8 fast, no problem. And sometimes I can do a 24-hour fast, but I've been fasting for 5 years.
Right.
I didn't start 24-hour fasting my first year.
Yeah.
You know what? It's crazy. Like it's such a mind. I actually love it because it's like a mindset hack. Like I'm always like, it's funny because your brain, it really is like your brain thinks you want it, but you're actually really, it's just playing head games with you.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty, when you can get there, it's really fun.
Okay. And how long did it take you to get to there?
Just 5 years.
So it took, when was the first time you did a 24-hour fast after starting this fasting regimen?
So I fasted a bunch like a few years ago, and then I got pregnant and had my son, Ilya, and you can't fast when you're, by the way, disclosure, like don't fast, or disclaimer, don't fast if you're pregnant or breastfeeding. You can't. So I didn't fast. And then it took me, I think my son's 2.5. I only started fasting again in the last year because like my body with its hormones needed to get back on track. And then I tried my first 24-hour fast actually after Utah.
Okay.
We just came back from Utah. And I don't know, I just felt like I was ready to do it. And it wasn't that hard because what I did was I ate my last meal at like 5 p.m. one day and I ate the next day at 5 p.m. Okay. So like I still got to have dinner.
Yeah, and did you train that day?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But I train in a fasted state anyway. Okay. That's how I usually train. So I don't need food to train. It wasn't as hard as I thought. Like my body was ready.
Look at this.
Let's just start with drinking water.
Yeah, just go back to the gym. Yeah.
How about you drink 8 glasses of water today and then we'll talk.
That's the goal today. Yeah.
And move. Walk for 30 minutes.
Well, I do walk my dog a lot, so that helps.
That's good.
Yeah. So with CBT, obviously CBT, it can be very beneficial and help people reframe their perspective on diet, health, wellness. Who are some of the other clients that you share this work with? I know you mentioned in the corporate realm you lead workshops, so I'm just trying to understand exactly who or the various industries, sectors, careers this could benefit, and understand that more so.
Yeah, awesome. So where I'm spending most of my time these days, so like I said, I used to do one-on-one. So I work a lot with law firms. So this is like really interesting. So lawyers, accountants, bankers, people in the financial sector, they all have certain traits that make them very successful. But as a result, they also have other traits, like it's kind of like a double-edged sword. Okay. So have you ever heard of the Myers-Briggs personality test? They do it in psychology, like introversion, extroversion, all that kind of stuff.
I think so.
Okay. So it's like a foundational profiling tool.
Okay.
And what they find with people that are in like careers like law and like finance and that is that they actually have very low resilience based on their Myers-Briggs, meaning that they feel stress and anxiety even more than anyone, which is why you see so much burnout in the downtown core. And so with cognitive behavioral therapy, what the research tells us is that you can actually increase people's resilience, meaning that they can recover from trauma faster and decrease their stress and anxiety. So I actually work a lot with lawyers and leadership teams at law firms, with transitioning people that go from articling to first-year associates that have a lot of stress. Leadership teams are like lawyers that have been in practice for a long time, accountants. So I work with leadership teams like that. And then I've been working a lot with CEOs and founders on building resilience so that they don't have burnout. Because as an entrepreneur, it's so easy to just like grind it out and not have that balance. And so I'm working with a company called, have you heard of Tech Canada?
Tech Canada?
Yeah, they're kind of like YPO or EO.
Got
it. So I'm one of the speakers on their circuit. So I do these workshops with founders and CEOs and presidents and stuff like that who have really busy lifestyles and they need to learn how to balance and create more resilience.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm spending a lot of my time.
Okay. Nice.
I love it.
Yeah. Why do you love it? Why
why do you love it?
Yeah. Why are you so passionate about this work?
I did this course called Strategic Coach a couple of years ago. Did I tell you about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the distinctions at Coach, and this is not a plug for them because I don't get any royalties, but it really, I've told you about it too. Like, I think you would benefit. One of the things you learn is something called your unique ability.
Okay.
Other people call it your zone of genius or whatever. And I think when you're doing your unique ability, so it's the thing that only you do well. So it's not like a lot of people could be really good at networking or communicating, but it's something specific about Zark or Adele that is unique. And it's kind of hard to name your own unique ability because you do it so naturally.
Right.
But if I had to name yours, it'd be easier. And if you had to name mine, it'd probably be easier. So when I started doing workshops, I realized I'm like, this is my zone of genius because I just feel an influx of joy and I don't know why.
Yeah.
I feel like I could do it for days and not get tired. And I feel like I'm just adding a lot of value and I'm just doing what I was meant to do. And so the more I started to work, when I found out what my unique strength was and I started to do more of it, I was like, oh my God, this is all I want to do. And even if I didn't get paid, I would still want to do this.
Yeah.
And that's like a big teller for me.
Okay.
And if I'm being honest, the one-on-one coaching, I don't get as much joy from anymore. And so that's why I'm really moving into being more in my zone of genius.
Got it.
Yeah.
Cool. It's awesome. And I'm looking forward to seeing, so you're going to be with us in Costa Rica in November. Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Is that now?
Yeah, coming up. Yeah. It's actually
Is it, are we there yet?
2 months today. Yeah, almost 2 months today. And I'm looking forward to seeing how you sharing CBT with the group for the Alive to see what each one of them gets from it, because I understand obviously for people dealing with health wellness, this could be huge, impactful in so many ways. And what's interesting is with Alive we get such a diverse group of people coming, dealing with different things from a divorce to hating their career to wanting to lose weight or holding on to whatever it is, discovering that what may be missing for them, and it'll be great to see your contribution and how that's going to have a real shift with people,
so
and
excited.
And just impact their week at the trip. So
I'm really excited.
Yeah.
One of the things I was going to add, as you asked me why I'm passionate about this, is that mental health is a huge thing right now. Right. And I'm very passionate about it because I've personally been afflicted with it. Like, I suffered from depression when I was just outside of university. There was so much stress, perfectionism to be perfect. I came out of a role of being a dancer where it's the ideal perfectionism kind of trait. And so I had a little bit of a breakdown in my fourth year university where I just fell into a depression and anxiety. And I remember at the time there wasn't really a lot other than giving people medication. And looking, Steve Jobs has that quote, you can only connect the dots looking backwards, not forwards. Okay. I was always on this path to help people with mental health. Because CBT, that's what it does, is it helps people, it retrains them to be more resilient around mental health issues. And if I had the tools that I have now, then it would have been a different story. I tried medication for a bit, got off it, and then that's what also propelled me into holistic nutrition and trying to heal my body and my mind in a natural way and all that kind of stuff. And so my passion is now to show people that there's no stigma attached to mental health, and that there's tools and resources, and that it's really about your thinking and that you have total control over that. So why I work with demographics like the lawyers and the executives and the entrepreneurs is that they're actually a really high risk demographic, but people don't think so because they seem like they have it really together. Right. But they're the ones that commit suicide, fall into depression, leave their jobs, go on stress leave, burn out. And so my kind of unique strength is and passion is helping those people, because they need help too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, impact is huge. And not only is impact huge, but I always ask myself, how can I add more value, right? Because there's so many people out there doing similar things that I always want to differentiate by asking how I'm going to add more value. So as a result, 2 exciting things are happening for me in my life. I'm going back to school. I'm doing my master's at Harvard starting this Wednesday, tomorrow.
Exciting.
Yeah, really exciting. It's going to be online, and it's so cool how you can be in school online these days, but you Zoom into classroom. It's pretty awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, so I start tomorrow, which is exciting, and I've always wanted to, and actually this master's has a huge positive psychology piece, and so and it's also about leadership. So I feel like everything that I'm going to be learning, I'm going to be infusing into my programs and into my content, which is exciting. And then I'm launching finally launching my online program in a few weeks, I think September 15th, where it's going to be my 12-week weight loss program, which is going to be infused with cognitive behavioral therapy, exercises, worksheets, videos. You'll see me every week on a video wearing different outfits. Wow. I did like 12 wardrobe changes. It was really annoying. People playing with my hair. And so what I really wanted to do is it's like literally a brain dump of everything I've done for 15 years. And I put it into this. I'm really proud of this project because it took a long time to create and 2 full days of filming. And I think it's going to be really great because my whole thing is, you can teach someone, you could give someone a fish to eat or teach them how to fish kind of thing, whatever that expression is. This program, I feel like people will go through it and learn how to actually deal with themselves.
Yeah.
Not just have like a diet for 2 weeks kind of thing. Like really start to kind of some of the exercises that I did with you, reframing, retraining, understanding their values, all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, and then they have that program available to them. So if at a later point in time they fall off, they can just go back to it.
Yeah, what we're going to do is it's a 12-week program. We're going to give them access for 24 weeks.
Okay.
So I want them to actually go through it twice. Got it. And they get a coach. They get to call in. They get like 3 or 4 calls with the coach as well through the program. Okay. So it's really curated, and it's really for me about sustainable change for people, because the thing I dislike the most is that, again, like if something's just like a sexy diet but it doesn't last, it's not going to work. Right. So I want this to be sustainable for people.
Got it. Perfect. Sounds like the exactly what I need for my transition.
I'll give you a discount, friends and family.
Bring it to Costa Rica with me so then I can get back on the healthy path and transition off the tacos and margaritas.
Yeah, exactly.
Although that could be dangerous in Costa Rica.
Yeah. Well, we'll have a few.
Cool. Well, on that note, I think it's time for lunch.
Yeah, exactly. Let's do it. I really love this. Cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you making the time.
Yeah,
And I appreciate you sharing the work of CBT as well, because definitely it validated what I believed, that the gym, going there, boxing myself into that, triggers certain feelings that I'm trying to maybe move away from. Yeah. And that through fitness and having a structure,
doing things you love.
Yeah. Being accountable, or having, accountability there is definitely the missing piece for me.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
My pleasure.
And we got 2 months to Costa Rica.
So we gotta get shredded.
We're gonna get shredded.